I'm recording.
All
Well, hello, good
right.
morning, good
Yeah.
evening, good day, good afternoon. Hello, everybody. And we have a really special class today. Not only is it Daun Casanova teaching the class, but she's got a lot of cool things she's going to cover today. So, number one, first of all, take very, very, very good notes because she sent me a list of things that she was going to teach today. And wow, when you're done with today, you're going to be like, wow, this is just mind blowing. And stick around because at the end of the class, she's got a little gift for you that
Mm-hmm.
you can acquire, but it requires a little bit of work on your part, not much, just a little bit. You have a little bit of assignment in order to get this little gift. And then we'll cover a couple announcements as well. So, with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Don, and it's all yours, Don.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, here I am. And for those of you who normally join me on Conductor Magic at this hour, thank you for attending this workshop. For those of you from Joni's store or from my store, this is going to be an excellent review of what we just did in the virtual concert last week. And for the rest of you, this might be a little bit new. I will be covering things mostly on the Easy 4, but I will be discussing where things are on the Discovery 3, the Freedom 3, the Easy 1, 2, 3, and 10 as well. So when I am showing features, hopefully you have your device close to your instrument so that you can look and see where on my instrument is this little purple button right here. So you want to be looking for things on your instrument as I'm teaching things, and then be sure you take some very excellent notes. And that you'll need those notes for later as well. I also want you to do a lot of listening today because a lot of things that I play, I'm going to play a lot of music, and I want you to listen. And you can watch. You can watch what my fingers are doing and take notes and see what features is she using in this particular song. All right, so I'm going to just do an opening song here. We're going to start out with some rock and roll. We're going to do some Elvis, and we're going to play a song called Don't Be Cruel. Okay, and the crowd goes wild. Yeah, okay, don't be cruel. Now, I used a couple of things on Don't Be Cruel, and you saw me pushing a couple of buttons. Well, we're going to go over all those buttons, and we're always going to start everything on your organ from left to right. So we're going to talk about stuff that right now on the far left. You have a master volume. The master volume is the volume for the entire instrument. What I normally recommend is that when you get this in your house, you put your pedal to the metal before you even play anything. Put your foot pedal all the way full volume. Put your master volume at 0. Okay, so you got absolutely no volume. Then you're going to just mash a chord or play a chord and then move your master volume up slowly until it's as loud as you can stand it. Usually it's going to be like 4, maybe 5. Now when you bring your expression pedal down, you will have some volume, less volume, but that's as loud as it will ever go. That's just a wonderful way to learn how to set your master volume so that you don't have it on super loud and you scare the cat and you scare the neighbors and fall off the bench backwards. You don't want to do any of that. So that's master volume. You also have a button over here, a white one. It's called home. Home. Some organs have reset. Home. That's if you start pushing too many buttons. And we always tell you, go ahead and push the buttons. You can't make a mistake, so push the buttons. But if you make too many pushes, just hit home, and it'll just fix everything for you, take you right back to factory, and then you can start over again. All right, now you have a section called volumes. The larger instruments call this the graphic mixer. Graphic mixer is nothing more than volumes of certain sections. And on the Easy 4, it's bass and accompaniment. On most of your instruments, it's going to be accompaniment. The Discovery 2, I just looked at it, has just accompaniment. Now, what is accompaniment? What is that? Well, actually, what that is everything that's not bass or drums. I'm going to turn on the traditional full band and just play a little bit. Okay, I hope I didn't blast you out there. Okay. Master volume. Yeah, that went up on me. When I hit the reset button, it went way up on me. Okay. If I turn the accompaniment all the way to 0, what do I have left? Bass. Boom, boom, boom. What's left now? The drums. Your drums volume is over here. Now I got nothing. Okay, so this is how you know what's actually in these sections. The accompaniment, by the way, also includes the left-hand chord sound. You hear how loud that is? I made it louder than the rest so you can hear the hum. All right. One of the questions that I get frequently is, Dawn, I can't hear my chords. I've got on this background and I absolutely can't hear my chords. I don't know what's going on. Okay, well, they're in your accompaniment, so make sure your accompaniment goes up in volume in order to hear the chords. It is a little harder on the full band backgrounds because your full band gives you all these other things that are going on. If you're one of those people that really, really, really needs to hear your chords, you're going to want to use this pianist or guitarist mode because it doesn't turn on your chords. What? You know, that just doesn't make any sense. Okay, hear me out on this. A lot of people just do the full bands. You have 8 music style buttons and you have 8 of them are complete full bands, and that's usually where people leave it, and then they play a standard full band. Do you hear the chords? Did you hear the chords? Not necessarily, because it's all that other stuff going on. If I play country, full band. Are you hearing the chords? Not necessarily, because it's full band. But you're ignoring the pianist and guitarist. I know a lot of you are, because I watch you in class and I ask you. You have 8 pianist backgrounds. You have 8 guitarist backgrounds. Now, we're going to talk a lot today about how to use your pianist and guitarist backgrounds and build every single one of them into a full band. Wow, that's going to be actually kind of cool. The only ones that you can't do that on, because they don't have the pianist and the guitarist, would be your Discovery 3 and your Freedom 3. Well, your Freedom 3 gives you 4 underneath each button anyway, so you're pretty much getting everything that we're going to be talking about today anyway. You've already got them in there. Okay, just like the spaghetti sauce. It's in there. All right, so let's just go to a, I was going to work on this a little bit later. Let me try playing my Melody of Love first. This is a traditional full band. Okay, and it's a march, and I want you to listen for a few things, and they were some of the same things that I used in Don't Be Cruel, and you'll watch me punch a couple of buttons over here. Maybe not. Maybe you'll just have to listen and see what am I using. The style setup, I'm going to give you a clue, is on. Okay, so what kind of features did I use? First of all, I used both keyboards. The advantage of having a two-keyboard instrument with full keyboards across the bottom is that you get two different sounds. Now, the Freedom 3, you only get them on top. However, the Freedom 3, like I said, does have the advantage of having 4 different rhythms, music styles underneath each one of these buttons. So you give up one for the other if you're going to deciding between the Freedom 3 or the Easy 4. So I did use 2 keyboards, and because I had on the style setup, it gave me 2 sounds that were perfect for my traditional full band. But did you necessarily hear the chords? No, probably not. Probably not. Well, let's go back to the question. What do I do if I can't hear my chords? I highly recommend that you use your pianist or guitarist backgrounds. And I'm going to go to, what did I use for this one? Rock pianist. Rock pianist. Anytime you use any of the pianist or the guitarist, you have lots of choices. It's just the piano player. That's it. That's all you're getting. All right, so I promised you were going to be able to hear your chords, and you were going to be able to turn this into a full band. First of all, let's talk about chords. On your Freedom 3 and your Discovery 3, you have something over here called left. If you're by your instrument, I want you to find it. Otherwise, it's going to say lower. Lower. I believe the Easy 3 also has it over here. Lower. What does lower mean? It means lower chord sound. Lower left-hand chord sound. And when you turn on your pianist or guitarist backgrounds, none of these are on. So when I'm changing chords, you can't hear the chord. But it's going to be easier to hear the chord if you do turn them on. The ensemble, once I touch it, it comes up in the window, and then I can scroll, and I get lots. Aha, there's the hum. And if I turn the accompaniment louder, you can hear the hum. I can now also change the sounds. Vocals, just organ, organ and strings. Let's turn that one off. Let's go to the more. The more gives you all kinds of goodies. A grand piano, but you can't hear it unless you actually play the chord, but then it's going to go away. The point is, if you're going to use these, go ahead and choose something in the more, but also add an ensemble, because the ensemble is going to give you that hum. Okay, now I've got the hum. You can hear your chords. Just make sure you turn on your lower left sounds. What else do I need to do? There's actually 4 things that I need to do. Take good notes. 4 things that I need to do to turn a pianist or guitarist background into a full band. Number 1, turn on my lower left-hand chords, whether it be on this side of the organ or over here. Make sure you turn one on. And if you need to have the accompaniment volume go higher so you can hear it, absolutely do that. You'll have less stuff going on in the background so that you can hear what's going on here. All right, the next thing is add the drums, because there's no drums here. So you want to find your drum's volume. It'll show in the window. Wow, there it goes, all the way up to 10. And that's actually all you need to do to start. The other two things that you can do would be to add harmony to make your right hand sound bigger, or to add an organ button, because sometimes there's strings and vocals in that organ button. I think there's just strings in this one. But that will always combine with these. So you have a harmony button on one side, an organ button on one side. Your lower button's going to be either here or here, and your drum's volume is going to be right here. Those are the four things that I want you to put down on paper so that when we're building a guitarist or pianist background, we can build it into a full band using one or more of these things. All right, let's play a song called Theme from a Summer Place. And you're going to listen to all the things I just put in. I've got the lower in, and I added my drums. There's a piano up here. All right, I want to actually put in some strings, so I'm going to touch the organ button and add some strings. Sound really big. I do? I did a fill-in. But it was on my foot. We'll get to foot switches in a minute. Okay, those four things. That's how we're going to build. Your full bands, you just push standard full band, rock full band, and it's going to bring up everything. Everything's going to be there. You might want to add some harmony or add some organs if they didn't give them to you already, but everything else is going to be there. The drums and the lower, those are the two top things that you do to start changing your pianist and guitarist into full band. Didn't sound like a pianist background, did it? It sounded like a full band, and that's what we're looking for, so you can get the most out of your instruments. All right, we're going to do this one more time. We are going to take a smooth guitarist. Most people put on smooth full band and leave it there. Nope, we're not going to do that. We're going to do smooth guitarist, and we're actually going to build throughout the song. It comes up to 88. That's exactly where I want it to be. If I want, I can add an introduction, or I can just start playing, and I'm going to tell you as we go along what I'm doing. The song is one of the Beatles songs. It's called Here, There, and Everywhere. And Sean told me a nice piece of trivia the other day. He said this was Paul McCartney's favorite Beatles song that he ever wrote. So enjoy Here, There, and Everywhere on Smooth Guitarist. Now you're not hearing any drums, are you? So we're going to add the drums. Now we're going to add the lower ensemble to get the chord, And I'm also going to add a duet on top. So I made the bottom bigger, and I'm making the top bigger. Added the strings. And I'm going to put the ending on and just give it a nice little ending. And I just turned a guitarist background into a full band. A full band using those four things: the drums volume, the lower, which could actually say lower left-hand chord. They should have printed more stuff on here. Sometimes it's over here. Then I made the top bigger to match my bigger stuff going on the bottom with harmony and organs. And the organs sometimes have strings in them. Any questions so far? Are you finding all these buttons so far on your instrument? No questions. Good. Okay. I hope you're taking lots of notes. Lots of notes. All right. Now, you've got an easy button on here as well. The easy button, I always tell you there's 2 times to use the easy button when you have to push this. Number 1, when you're in class with me and you're playing along. When you're playing along with me, all I want is the hum. I don't want any rhythm because I'm always the one that puts the rhythm on. Then you can play along with me and use my instrument as the beat. So the easy button is also good for playing hymns if you don't want any background. Well, right now I have strings on, but that's because my lower sound is strings. I can change that by touching it, bringing it up in the window, and scrolling to vocals. I can have pretty vocals. And then I can choose whatever sound I want for the top. Just push something or use what you just had. Okay. Now I also have a problem with people that double push buttons. They think because I tell them the importance of using the easy button, what it does for the left hand is it allows me to play my chords with 1 finger or 2 fingers if I'm using minor chords. But then when we go to a rhythm or a music style, they say, okay, I'm ready to play Latin full band easy. Oops. Don't turn on that easy again, because if you do, you just turned off a bunch of stuff. When you turn on your music style and the performer, the easy button comes on automatically. Don't touch it again. Don't push too many buttons. The only 2 times to ever push the easy button by itself is 1, if you're working in class with me and all you want is that hum because you want to follow my rhythm, or B, you're playing a hymn and you don't want any background at all. Otherwise, using your music styles, do not push it again. It comes on automatically, absolutely automatically. All right, let's keep going here. We have an intro ending button. Once I set something up, if I touch the intro ending button before I touch anything else, I will now activate with a chord and it will play the introduction for me. And you can play our favorite song. ending button again, and now it becomes the ending. Okay, so set up your music style first, then turn on the intro ending button and activate it with a chord, and it will start the song with your intro. When you're ready to finish, you push it again, and it ends the song for you very nicely. All right, now I also did some fill-ins. Fill-ins, you've got a button called fill. Some of you have it labeled as FX, but a fill-in just gives you a little bit of a boost, especially if you're holding a long note. Again, let's go back to Marianne. Touch fill, you're holding a long note. Wow. Okay, so it just gives it a little boost, so it gives you some variety and it makes your music sound fresh. Every single one of these full band pianist and guitarist has their own fill. So what you might want to do someday, even if you're not in the mood for playing songs, because you didn't like the song that your teacher assigned you that day, you can just go through and say, today I'm going to try all my different intros and fills. And so I can just turn on a gospel guitarist and turn on the introduction and listen to it. Try the fill. When you're done, push the ending and see what it does. So someday when you have really not much to do, you don't really feel like playing, and that's okay. We all go through periods like that. Touch buttons on your instrument. See what the intros and endings do for you on all of your rhythms. See what the fills do for you. They do different things for each one of these rhythms. Now, you heard some fills when I was playing Melody of Love. You heard some fills when I was playing Don't Be Cruel. And how did I do those? I certainly wasn't reaching up here, was I? I was using a foot switch, and I was kicking it to the right, and it activates the fill. Now, fill and intro only work if you have on a music style. If you only have on easy, intro and fill don't do anything. So don't sit here with an easy button on and go, my fill doesn't work, my organ's broken. Joni, send somebody out to fix my organ. The intro's not working. Why not? Because you don't have a music style on. I'm going to play another song, and I am going to demonstrate the fill-in by kicking my foot switch to the right. If you're not sure that you have it there, you can actually look underneath and feel that you have two foot switches. We're looking at the one on the right. The song that I'm going to be playing right now is called Venus. guitarist, and I added the drummer, and I added an organ button, and I added a lower ensemble. Are there any questions so far? Are you finding all these buttons on your instrument? I hope so, because we're just still on the first half. But if you get everything on this first half, things go pretty smoothly after that. Always work left to right. If you understand the left-hand side, you're good to go. The right-hand side can wait, but we will get to it. We still have time. All right. Now, I was talking about a foot switch, and that way is the fill-in. What's the other one for? Well, the other one is called glide sustain, and it works like a glide only on instruments that will glide in real life. Well, like what? Whoops, like a Hawaiian guitar. I'm kicking my foot switch to the left. Now what that's doing is it's detuning the entire top keyboard down. It's detuning the whole thing down. So if I'm doing this and I'm trying to play a song, kick the switch, play the note, let go of your foot, and it will release it back up. So it's kick, play, glide. What you don't want to do is accidentally be leaning on that left kick switch when you have on one of these sounds, because it just detuned the whole top instrument. Oh, that sounds terrible, because I had my foot on the glide. It had it detuned. You have to kick, play, release the foot, and it will glide your note. What else can glide? How about sounds like trombones? Trombones can glide. How about sounds like a violin? And it comes out like fiddles, because fiddles like to do a lot of gliding. So certain sounds will always be good with the glide. Does a piano glide? No, in real life a piano doesn't glide. So that foot switch now becomes a sustain. So if I play something on a piano and push my foot against the pedal, the switch, it now sustains that last note, just like on a real piano. So it makes things come alive. Is it easy to master these? No, but the more you do it, the easier it gets, just like anything else. I'm going to play another song now, utilizing the glide. I'm going to go to smooth, full band. I'm going to up my tempo to 75. I'm going to choose a different sound. I'm going to come over here and choose a sound called harmonica. The harmonica can also glide. Okay, and the song that I'm going to play is Midnight Cowboy. And it used a nice harmonica at the beginning. tools that we use to turn our pianist and guitarist into fuller, bigger bands. We can also use to turn our full bands into bigger sounds. The harmony and adding an organ button will always make the sounds bigger. On every single one of these instruments, you can combine up to 3 sounds. Well, we're not quite over to that side yet, so we'll talk about that when we get over to that side. Okay, drums volume is exactly what it says it is. It takes your drums up or down where you need them. Full band always brings them in. Pianist and guitarist never does. It's always good to just add those in for your pianist and guitarist to turn them into full bands. Any questions so far? Style setup. The style setup, sometimes it's called the auto setup, depending on whether you're on an Estey or on a Lowry. This is the I don't know what I'm doing button. As long as this button is on, no matter which music style you choose, it's going to pick things for you. The tempo, it's going to pick some sounds. It's going to pick a sound for down here on the Easy 4. It's going to choose things for you, and it's going to balance everything nicely for you. So as long as that's on, that's the I don't know what I'm doing button. You touch this, you're good to go. Okay, so what else do we have here? The tempo can be locked. What do I mean by that? Well, you were on style setup and you went to country and you found a nice, you were practicing and you lowered this tempo. I'm lowering the tempo. That's actually beats per minute, by the way, not miles per hour. I'm going to lower it to 58. Conductor Magic, you recognize this. That's a good, comfortable tempo for you, but now you want to try some other music styles. The minute you touch one of these, what's going to happen? Your tempo is going to change, unless you lock your tempo. If you take 2 fingers and push your tempo, top and bottom at the same time, you get these little asterisks that come up, and it will lock the tempo. Now I can try other rhythms, and I see David's on. I could go to disco. Let's go to the disco-iest one I can find here. Oh, but at 58 it doesn't sound all that good because I locked the tempo. It's everything I choose now will stay at 58. Why do I want to do that? Well, if I'm practicing Love Me Tender and I like that tempo, I'm just looking for a new rhythm that's going to work with Love Me Tender. Something a little bit, there we go. Oh yeah, that works better. But I don't have to adjust the tempo because I locked it in. And so on and so forth. So that's locking the tempo. How do I unlock the tempo? You touch one of the tempo buttons and the asterisks go away. And now if I go to something else, I'm going to have 110. 140, 150. So it's going to change according to what the music style is. If you lock it in, now you can practice a song on all your different rhythms and not have to worry about changing your tempo. Your tempo comes up in the information window. Your home screen brings up the beats per minute, the chord, not the chord you should be playing, but the chord you are playing, and then the key of C. Now the key of C is not what key you're playing it in. The key of C is just how the organ is tuned. It will always default to C unless you are transposing. Oh my, we'll talk about that in a minute too. By transposing, you're going to change the pitch of the entire instrument. All right, so style setup is your I don't know what I'm doing button. The next button over is called songs. Songs are actually pretty cool because it's like taking the teacher home with you. Everything in the yellow book, and some have even more than that, are inside the instrument. So if I put it on Jingle Bells, by the way, everything underneath here is scroll, touch, scroll, select. This little red one is the select. Touch, scroll, select. Boom. When I select, it's going to play for me. See, it sounds just like we do in class, doesn't it? Now you can play along with it if you want. Oops, I digress. But you can play along with it. It is absolutely like taking the teacher home with you. It's wonderful to be able to get them in your ear. You can also change the tempo, you can change the sound, but that's what the songs is pre-recorded songs inside your instrument. The next one over says song setup. Now, not all instruments have song setup. Sorry, Easy 1 and Discovery 3, you do not have this button. But this one is very important. Like Sean says, it's for lazy people. No, it's not. It's for everybody. Because it's got lots and lots of songs already decided for you which one of these you're going to use. Because isn't that the hardest thing you do? If you set something up, you put a piece of music up, you go, which one? Let me call Dawn. No, let me go to song setup first. Go to song setup. Everything is in alphabetical order. And as soon as you find the one you want, what's the next thing you do? Scroll and touch, select. Scroll and touch, select. It's not playing because it's not a pre-recorded song. This is a setup. All the lights have changed so that I can play Hey Good Lookin' or any other country song that I feel like. It's chosen for me a sound up here and a sound down here. It's also chosen for me a tempo. Now what it did do is it turned my style setup off. So please take note of that. This is every instrument in the world. Your song setup is exclusive unto itself. The two sounds that it is choosing are for that song, specific to your song. Wow, what did I just do? I just did a great big glide. Country guitars are fabulous for great big glides. That was on which foot switch? The one to the left. The left foot switch does my glide. Perfect for your country guitars. Now when I want to go back to here, make sure style setup goes back on. Once you get done with your song setup, put your style setup back on so that when you come back over here, everything's going to be good. All right, that's one thing you do need to remember. Let's keep going. You have a feature button. What does a feature button do? Well, it does a couple of things. First of all, it could be all that extra stuff that's inside your instrument. When I turn it on, it says lower split. Your organ splits here. You can change it to here and get you some extra notes. You can also change the touch. I know Joe Fontesha loves his touch to be on because he loves being able to dynamically play his piano. I know I like my touch off because I have a very light touch on the keyboard and I like all my sounds to be even, and then I'll use my foot pedal to do the dynamics. Drums only, you may never use it. Keyed bass, you may never use it. Orchestral octave, that one you might. If you're playing a song and it's starting to sound too screechy and you're playing it here, you could go down here, oops, but you might run out of keys. So your orchestral octave will shove your entire sound down an octave. Let's see if I can do this. Once I find it in the window, what do? Select, scroll and select. If I want it to be lower, I scroll down to it says -1. Or I could scroll up. It's just changing the octave so that it's more comfortable for my song. That's a very nice feature to have. Orchestral level. If your orchestral is outdoing your organ and you want that sound over here to be a lot softer, you could come into your feature and actually use the tempo. Now that's a lot of advanced stuff that most of the time the I don't know what I'm doing button is going to take care of for you anyway. But there is another reason we need to know about this feature button. when you touch anything else, like let's say I added a lower ensemble to build one of my arrangements. It says in the window strings. Well, now I can scroll. Guess what? Don't select. The only ones you select for are these: songs, song setup, and feature. If you're working with your sounds, you don't need the select button. But when it's in the window, you can scroll to whatever you want: strings, vocals, organ. Oh, let's get to just an easy sound. There we go. I've got guitar and I've got organ and strings. You heard it change. Vocals. Okay, it's there. You don't need to push select. But now I want to see my home screen. I want to see how fast we're going, and I want to get out of this window. What do? Your feature button is on. If you turn it off, your feature button brings back the home screen without changing anything else. If I go to my harmony button and I'm scrolling to find the proper harmony for that song, and we'll get to harmony in a minute. You've heard me use it already. It just makes the sound really big up here. When I get to the harmony, I decide I want harmony AOC. I don't have to hit select. It's already there. But now I'm out of my home screen. If I don't go over here and push home, because if I push home, I erase everything. Go to your feature button. It's on. Turn it off, and it will take you right back to tempo 128, chord that I'm playing, the key that it's in. Takes me back to home screen. The same thing if I go to an organ button. It now says string 16. What if I don't want string 16? I'm going to scroll to something else. Now what? I want to go back to my home screen. Turn off your feature button. It'll take you right back to home screen. But the sound that you chose will now be there. So that is a very, very important feature about your feature button, is it will always take you back to your working information window. Let's keep going. Do we have any questions up till now? Nobody's interrupting me. Nope. You must be taking excellent notes. Very good. Let's go over to the organ button. The organ button is off to the side by itself. On some of the organs, yep, like on the Discovery 3, the organ button's actually on this side of the orchestrals. Doesn't matter. The organ button always goes to the upper keyboard. And they keep it to itself because it can layer with all these other instruments. This is the hardest part of the whole panel to actually understand. It really and truly is. So let's just start with organs. You also have a Vibratrem button. Some of you do not. If you do not have this, yay, you don't have to worry about it because it's already done for you. But what is a Vibratrem? Think about the words that this is. Vibrato and tremolo. Both of those words have to do with motion. And if you think of a Leslie speaker, it spins and it causes the organs to have a wavering sound. So most of the time this will be turned on automatically for you. I'm going to go to a nice sweet organ, turn off everything else, and I'm just going to play a chord. And the Vibratrem is on, and you can hear it. If I turn it off, it's going to turn that motor slow. Ooh, did you hear it? And it turns it into like a chapel organ. Most of the time that will be on. Here we go. Woohoo! Try your different organs. We can do an entire hour just on what organs do. But just touch organ, scroll to find the ones you want, play them, see what they sound like, find your strings, play them, see what they sound like. Again, on a day when you don't feel like playing your music, just go through and find out what your sounds are. Now let's turn the organs off and go to the next section, the orchestrals. The orchestrals usually have pictures by them. Sometimes they just have words, but if it says pianos, probably there's a bunch of pianos in here. At least two. Even the Easy 2 or Easy 1 has 2 pianos. So if you turn on pianos, how do I get to the rest of them? Scroll. scroll, honky tonk. Whoops, I gotta have that orchestral on-off button on. And I can sound like I'm in a funky Western saloon. I can also have an electric detuned piano. Whoops, I must have my feature still on for my orchestral octave. I want to take that back down to 0. There we go. That's my Billy Joel piano. You want a nice electric piano if you're playing music by Billy Joel. Or you want a nice grand piano if you're playing music by Billy Joel. But check them out and see. A society piano gives you a 2-octave spread of pianos. A lot of Latin music uses society pianos. Go through your sounds and see how many and what's under each one of them. And just listen for all the sounds. And then try combining them. You can do 2 at a time. You can do 2 at a time. These black buttons are the command buttons, especially on the Easy 4. It's going to say orchestral on off or orchestral to right split. Your Easy 10 works the same way. Okay? You're telling these orchestral sounds where to go. Right now I have one command on. It's the orchestral on off is on. And I have on a piano and a breathy sax. If I turn that one off and turn my orchestral to right split, I am now sending both of those instruments to the lower keyboard. Okay. If I turn both the commands on, orchestral on, off, on, and orchestral to right split on, did it put 2 sounds here and 2 sounds here? Doesn't need to. That's kind of redundant. It now splits the difference. The solid light is on the top keyboard. And my saxophone is blinky, so it's on the bottom keyboard. Okay. Now, the organs also have strings and organs because you went through and found all the sounds. You can layer that with whatever's going on the upper keyboard. That's a rich organ combined with a grand piano. If I turn the orchestral to right split off, I now have 3 things going on. And guess what? Even the Easy 1 can combine 3 sounds. So play with that. You come up with some really cool recipes. Play with that. Try 2 sounds here, try adding an organ over here, and see which ones work. The Freedom 3, same thing. You can combine 3 instruments at one time, 2 orchestrals and something from the organ button. This is kind of fun to just play with sometimes and say, I don't feel like playing my song, but I'm looking for that perfect groovy sound. And so you find the barking dogs, and you find the nylon guitar, and you find the strings and go, ew, that's terrible. But you're finding things, and you're finding what the buttons of your organ can actually do for you. All right, I've got 1 song to play here. Actually, I have 2 songs to play here. This actually takes me back to that organ button. All right, I'm going to use organ here. The song is Mr. Tambourine Man, and I'm going to play it 2 different ways. I'm going to go to the smooth guitarist. Now, to go back to your notes, there's 4 things we can do to build my smooth guitarist into a full band. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is change the tempo. That's not one of the 4. Adding the drums, that's one of the 4. Adding something to my lower left-hand chords, that's part of the 4. All right. Then I have a guitar. I can add harmony. Let's add a duet. And I can add an organ sound. I'll add the organ sound in a little bit later. First, we're just going to play Mr. Tambourine Man by Bob Dylan. add a solo organ sound. Fill in. And now, just for fun, I'm going to change the style to show you that you can use different styles. This is called rock full band. And this is one that even the Discovery 2 has this, the Easy 1 has this, they all have this one. So if you didn't have that guitarist rhythm, you could play rock full band and still have a very nice song for Mr. Tambourine Man. Changes the flavor a little bit, but you can still do that. Okay. Any questions? Let's talk a little bit about the harmony and the fake it button. And that's pretty much all we have left because we're all the way to this end of the instrument already. Wow. Pretty good. Now the harmony does for the left hand, and it's all the way over here. It does for the left hand what the easy button does for the right hand. And what does that easy button do? It allows me to play single-fingered chords instead of playing all my fingers. The harmony does the same thing. Now there's various types of harmony. If I have a duet on, it's going to add one more note because duet means two. How does it know which note to add? It's got a whole bunch of notes here. Which one is it going to add? Well, it's dependent upon which chord your left hand is playing. So if you are playing something with harmony, it only can play, it's choosing one of the notes that's in the left-hand chord. If I scroll to a rock harmony, that I could do Mr. Tambourine Man with that because that's actually got a nice, it's giving you three notes, but it's skipping the third. That's because they don't like minor thirds. They like to add blues notes. So those power chords for rock are just the root and the fifth. But this is a kind of a cool harmony to use. An octave harmony. If you've got little fingers like me, and you always mash a whole bunch of extra notes by trying to play octaves, you put on the octave harmony, and now you can actually sound like Jerry Lee Lewis. Whoop, let's turn that on. Because he liked to play in octaves. But you still need to play your chords because that's how it knows what it's going to play. It also has an AOC, which gives you a three-fingered chord. It fills out the chord even thicker. And it gives you big sounds. Different types of harmony. So the harmony just makes a nice big fat sound up here, but it is dependent on your left-hand chord, so make sure you know which chord you're playing. If you make a mistake with this hand, it's, even though you might be playing the right notes up here, it's not going to sound too good. It's going to sound pretty terrible. Okay, and the fake it is one that, you don't want to use it all the time. But it's like if you're out at the square and you're listening to your favorite country band, and your favorite country band is playing your Cheatin' Heart, and you get to the middle of the song, the guitar player is going to come out and he's going to do a solo. Yeah, big time solo. Now the guitar player player comes out, and you're just going to noodle because it's just going to play a pattern. And again, it's dependent upon your left-hand chords. Guitar player steps back into place and everybody picks up the song again. So it's nice to put a little improvised solo in the middle of your song. Just a little noodling is all it takes. All right. That's pretty much it for me as far as going through the organ. Are there any questions about what we did?
Yay! Yay!
This did take a little bit more than an hour. Actually, I'm right on the money because it took us about this long to get started. I hope you took very good notes. I hope you have your instrument in front of you and you went, where is that on mine? Oh my gosh, I didn't know I could change those pianist and guitarist bands into full bands. I think you're going to get more use out of your instrument by doing some of the things that we talked about. Okay? Robert, do you want to talk about the giveaways or do you want me to talk about the giveaways and the special prizes?
You.
Well, first let me mention something too.
Okay.
Is if you feel like maybe you didn't take good enough notes, one thing that you can get from us is we're going to put this on Patreon afterward. I'll explain what that is, but Dawn has some notes that she wrote on this class for you if you'd like them. If maybe you thought you didn't take good enough notes or you just want her expert notes, she's got it typed up for you too, and that'll be on Patreon. So let me just explain what that is real quick.
Okay.
For those of you who might not know, and then they're going to talk about some things we'll be giving away as well. So for Patreon, what that is it's a really, really cool website that's made for what's called content creators. That's like us. We create all these classes and different things for you. And this is for if you want more stuff, if you're a Fletcher-aholic, if you're a Fletcher fan, this is a way where you can make a monthly contribution to our online festivities, and it keeps it going, and it makes us able to do more and more stuff. So if you want to, you can become what's called a patron, and you get bonus videos and bonus classes where you might see things like this that says unlock. You'll get access to everything. You'll get access to all sorts of extra things that we do just for our big time fans. And some of them you'll see like this. You can watch anytime. You don't even have to be a patron, but some of these, if you want to, you get extra bonus stuff. Oh, look, there's this guy. Yeah. And what happens is in some of these videos, let's see if I can find one. Maybe not on here, but on some of these, you'll find attachments underneath where it'll have something you can download or look at later. So for this class, we're going to put the video for this, and then right underneath, it'll have the notes. So if you need more notes or maybe you missed something, her notes will be on there too.
Yeah, now let me show the example of the attachment. Are you ready?
Ready, Freddie.
Okay, let me find it. Okay, so right here is an example. Can you see Don's Wednesday class?
Yep.
See that right there? So some of her classes are accessible to anyone, and some are for patron members. But in this case, if you click on it, it'll download it. And then in this case, she wrote out an entire intro for it was the actual introduction for Cats in the Cradle.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. See, so she took the time and wrote all those fancy things there. Oh my goodness, an E flat. Oh, I'm away from
Hey,
that.
that's getting up there. That's getting pretty advanced.
But as an example, so the handout that Sean just showed is going to be posted. This class will be posted to either tomorrow or Thursday, and I usually schedule those to be available at 5 p.m. Arizona at the end of the day, so you can watch it while you're eating dinner. All right. And what's the gift, Dawn?
Okay, they're going to get a couple of things. First of all, you're going to get from me. I'll show you what the gifts are first, and then I'll tell you how you can get them. Some of you already have this one. If you come to my regular classes or you come to my level 2 class online, I have a chord chart where I actually give you the minor and the 7 chords. These are all the white keys, and then which fingers are going to be the best to use. Because remember how much I'm constantly preaching left hand, left hand, left hand. Once you don't give your left hand a choice, your left hand is the whole secret to learning all this easy play music. These are all the black ones. Now, the reason the black ones are on a separate page and they look more complicated is that every black note has 2 names. A C sharp and a D flat is the same. That's why it's in between the 2 lines. And again, the C sharp minor and a D flat minor is actually the same. It just gives you 2 different ways to read it. And this is like having your chord Bible, and some people even laminate this and keep it on their organs so that if they have a chord that they don't know what it is, they can't remember how to get to it, they forgot the mathematical formula, they can cheat. They can go to the cheat sheet and pull it up and say, aha, I know what an F minor is now, and I know what fingers to use. It's absolutely fabulous. Cheating is the best thing in the world because all we want to do is get our fingers in the right spot and play pretty music. I am also going to include this. Now, one of my classes actually asked me, would you please make up a page of music symbols so that we kind of know what they are? And a lot of these were in the old Lowry songbooks, but since they don't make those anymore, I'm going to give you some of these things. The difference between eighth notes and quarter note eighth triplets.
Oh, I want one of those.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, that's
Trying to
pretty
figure
cool
all
stuff.
that out.
That's pretty cool stuff because if you see something you're not sure of what it is, at least you can figure it out and you can say, I don't know what that symbol means. Oh, but then you can be a little smart about it and say, Joni, what's a whole rest? Because I know what it is because I can read it on here. And it's in my music and I don't know how to deal with it.
What's the tic-tac-toe symbol again?
The tic-tac-toe symbol, that's a sharp sign.
Oh, gosh,
Yeah.
I've been trying to figure that out for years.
Yeah, yep. And the
You got
silly
to be
sign.
sharp to figure that one out.
Yeah, the silly sign. Now, there really is a proper name for that, but I have totally forgotten it. So everybody in my class calls it the silly sign. And you'll get to that also later. Now, I have three other things for you. 3 of the songs that I played today, I specially chose for you guys. I chose them because they're easy enough for everybody that's in these instruments to be able to play. And if you can't, you can use your chord charts to help play them. So you will be getting copies and my fingering. Remember, my fingering is always subjective to changes. Mr. Tambourine Man. You're going to get a copy of Mr. Tambourine Man. You're also going to get a copy of Venus. Venus, what a beautiful song that is. I like to play that one a lot. And the first one I did, my opening number, Don't Be Cruel. Don't Be Cruel is a very cool song. And it's something you can play. So, Robert, tell them
How do
what
we
they
get
have
'em?
to do.
How do they get those, Don? How do I get them?
They're pretty cool. What you have to do is when we're done with this today, you call or email your personal assistant. Call or email your personal assistant and say, I want the gifts, and when can I come in? And they're going to set up a personal appointment with you and show you how do you play these songs on your instrument.
So all they have to do is schedule on a time to meet with their PA.
That's it.
They can give them a hard time during that appointment if they like, for
Most
fun.
certainly may.
Okay. Now, we won't have this stuff available right away today, so don't schedule the appointment today for tomorrow.
Correct. Yes.
But
Yep.
Don will make sure that we all have that information. Can I
Yes.
be the first
Yep.
one to get it? Thank you.
I will make sure that you are the first one to get it. Yes, sir, Mr. Robert.
Okay, thank you so much. And then I'll make sure all the other staff members get it as well.
Perfect.
That's pretty cool. You gonna close off with a song here in a minute?
I will.
Okay, so Don is going to close off with a number here. First of all, let's give a big round of applause. You can unmute for that. You can holler. I can't hear you. There we go. All right. Well, before we have Don close it off, I want to say thank you. We hope you enjoyed the class today. This video again will be posted in a day or two, so keep on the lookout for that handout. Make sure to get with your personal assistant and to schedule a time so you can get all those little goodies. And last but not least, I always like to remind people that there's no better time to purchase their next organ like the present. So just keep an eye out for those wonderful opportunities, because as the national sales manager, and Sean and Dawn and Joni, they can vouch for you. I'm always asking them, have you contacted someone today about a purchase? So make sure that you have an open mind when they do call you. And keep in mind, if you happen to have a top of the line model, you can always buy one for your spouse. You can always get a left and a right hand model, or believe it or not, we actually have some customers are buying the beginner's models for friends or very close friends. And those are very affordable. And we even have a small handful of beginner's models as low as $499. So I do want to put that out there. Some of our stores have some models that we carried, I'd say about a decade ago or so, like a quick start or an organ like that. That's great for starters. So you can all continually contribute and support the Fletcher Music Club. So keep that in mind, folks. Having said that, I'm now going to turn it over to Miss Daun Casanova, everybody.
Okay, woo. All right. If you guys learned one thing today, I know I went through a lot of stuff, but if you learned one thing, you are 100% successful in your hobby. So hopefully that's what you strive for, is just every time you come to a class or sit down at your instrument, you learn one new thing. This is last one we're going to do is laughter in the rain. And fade out. Okay, if you learned one thing today, you're good.
Hey, good
Thank
job,
you
Dawn.
so much for coming today.
Thank you.
I enjoyed this. I love getting in front of you guys and showing you what you can do with your instruments. Love it. Love it. So thank you for having me today. Thank you for attending. And keep on playing and keep on zooming.
Thanks. Thank you, Dawn.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day, Vaughn.
I certainly will. You as well.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.